It is 8 p.m. on a Tuesday night. The dishes are finally done. The emails are sent. The house is relatively quiet. You walk over to your sofa. You sit down. You let out a sigh. This should be the best part of your day. But the moment your body hits the cushions, something strange happens in your chest. A low hum of anxiety begins to vibrate. Your eyes start darting around the room. You see a pile of mail on the counter that needs sorting. You see a speck of dust on the baseboard. You remember that you forgot to call your sister back. Suddenly, the sofa does not feel soft. It feels like it is made of thorns. You feel an actual physical itch to get back up, to do something, to be useful. If you stay seated, a voice in your head starts its commentary. It says, "You are being lazy. Look at all the things you haven't done yet. Who do you think you are, just sitting there?" If this sounds familiar, I want you to know that you are not broken. And you are certainly not lazy. You are suffering from a condition that affects millions of women in midlife. We call it rest guilt. But today, we are going to go deeper than just calling it a bad habit. We're going to look at it through the lens of Carl Jung's psychology. I am going to propose a radical idea to you. You are not addicted to productivity because you love work. You are addicted to productivity because you are terrified of who you are when you stop. You have been taught that your value is something you rent by the hour. And if you stop paying the rent with your labor, you will be evicted from love. In this video, we are going to break that contract. We're going to look at the worthiness wound that drives your busyness, and we're going to learn how to sit on that sofa without the thorns. You do not have to earn the right to breathe. Let us begin the work of exhaling.
To understand why you cannot sit still, we first have to understand that this guilt did not originate with you. You were not born feeling guilty for resting. Look at a baby. Look at a cat lying in the sun. They do not apologize for their stillness. They do not worry if they are earning their keep. They simply exist. So, where did you lose that natural right to rest? Let me share a story that might make you laugh, but it will also make you nod in recognition. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah is 55 years old. She finally reached a point in her career where she could afford to hire a housekeeper twice a month. It was supposed to be a gift to herself, a way to buy back some time. But every other Tuesday morning, before the housekeeper arrives, Sarah goes into a frenzy. She wakes up an hour early. She runs around the house picking up clutter. She wipes down the counters. She even scrubs the toilets lightly. Why? Because she is terrified that the housekeeper, a woman she is paying to clean, will judge her for having a dirty house. She is terrified that if the housekeeper sees a mess, she will think Sarah is lazy or disorganized or a failure as a woman. So, Sarah does the work before the worker arrives. This is the absurdity of our condition. We are paying for help, but we are too ashamed to actually receive it. Sarah's story reveals the deep, invisible script that runs our lives. It is a script that says, if I am not working, I am not good. To understand this script, we have to look at the soil
in which you were grown, especially here in the West, and specifically in America. We are living in the shadow of something sociologists call the Protestant work ethic. You might not be religious. You might not even know what that term means, but it is running your operating system. Centuries ago, a cultural idea took root. The idea was that hard work is not just necessary for survival, it is a sign of moral goodness. It is a sign of godliness. And conversely, idleness, stillness, rest was branded as a sin. It was labeled as sloth. This idea seeped into the groundwater of our culture. It created a society that worships the hustle. We applaud people who sleep 4 hours a night. We wear our busyness like a badge of honor. When you ask someone how they are, what is the most common answer? Busy. I am so busy. We say it with a mix of exhaustion and pride, because if we are busy, it means we are important. It means we are needed. It means we are valuable. But if we are not busy, if we say, "Oh, I spent the afternoon reading a book and looking out the window," we feel a sudden drop in status. We feel lazy. And in our culture, lazy is one of the worst things a woman can be. This programming hits women over 40 particularly hard because you were raised in a transition period. You were told you could have a career, but you were also expected to maintain the traditional role of the homemaker. So you have 2 full-time jobs, and the standard for both is perfection. You have to be the CEO in the boardroom and Martha Stewart in the kitchen. There is no time allotted in that schedule for staring at the ceiling. There is no time allotted for doing nothing. And so when you do stop, even for 5 minutes, your internal alarm system goes off. It screams, "Danger! You are falling behind. You are wasting time." Time is money. Time is a resource to be exploited. We have internalized capitalism into our own bodies. We treat ourselves like machines. Machines are not supposed to rest. They are supposed to produce. If a machine is sitting idle, it is broken. It is useless. And that's how you feel when you sit on that sofa. You feel useless. This is the core of the toxic productivity that is draining you. It is the belief that your worth as a human being is directly tied to your output. If you produce, you are worthy. If you rest, you are worth less. Think about how cruel this equation is. It means you can never be enough because there is always more work to do. The laundry is never finished. The emails never stop coming. The needs of your family are endless. If your worth depends on finishing the work, you will die trying to prove you are worthy. And many women do. They work themselves into autoimmune diseases, into adrenal fatigue, into nervous breakdowns, all to prove that they are not lazy. I want you to look at this word, lazy. It is a weapon. It is a word used to shame you into compliance. It is a word used to extract more labor from you. But what if laziness doesn't exist? What if we call lazy is actually your body's desperate attempt to save you? What if that desire to sit down is not a character flaw, but a biological necessity? You are not a machine.
You are a biological organism. You have rhythms. You have cycles. Nature does not bloom all year round. Winter is not lazy. Night is not lazy. They are essential parts of the cycle of life. But you have tried to live in eternal summer, eternal day, and you are burning out. This cultural diagnosis is important because it helps you realize that the voice in your head, the one shaming you for resting, is not your voice. It is the voice of a culture that wants to use you up. It is the voice of a history that viewed women as servants. It is not the voice of your soul. Your soul knows the truth. Your soul knows that you are a human being, not a human doing. But making the shift from doing to being is terrifying, because if you stop doing, you have to face the silence. And in that silence, you have to face yourself. You have to face the question, who am I if I am not useful? This is the worthiness wound. It is the deep, aching belief that you are not enough, just as you are, that you have to earn your space on this earth. To heal this wound, we need to go deeper than culture. We need to go into the psyche. We need to use the map that Carl Jung gave us. We need to meet the inner characters who are running this show. We need to meet the jailer who holds the stopwatch. And we need to understand why he is so afraid of letting you rest.
We have looked at the world outside. Now, we must look at the world inside. Because culture can only pressure you if there is a hook inside you that catches it. If you did not have this hook, you would look at the demands of the world and you would simply say no. But you cannot say no. Why? Because there is a character living in your head who forbids it. In Jungian psychology, we work by personifying these inner forces. We give them names and faces so we can stop being possessed by them and start having a relationship with them. I want to introduce you to the character who is responsible for your guilt. I call him the inner jailer. Imagine him for a moment. He stands at the door of your consciousness. He holds a clipboard and a stopwatch. He is rigid, he is unsmiling, and he is terrified. Every time you sit down, he clicks his stopwatch. He looks at his clipboard and says, "What have you done today to justify your existence? Have you earned your air? Have you earned your space?" This jailer is not a monster. He is a protector part of your psyche that has gone rogue. He was born when you were very young. He was born the moment you realized that love was conditional. The moment you realized that when you were helpful, you were praised, and when you were needy, you were ignored. So the jailer stepped in and said, "I will make sure she is never ignored again. I will make sure she is always useful. I will drive her until she drops, because that is the only way she will be safe." He thinks he is saving your life, but he is actually killing your spirit. The jailer is the guardian of your persona, the persona of the doer, the capable woman, the one who handles it all. You have merged so completely with this persona that you have forgotten who you are without it. This leads us to the deepest wound of all, the worthiness wound. This is the painful belief that your value as a human being is not inherent. It is transactional. You believe that you are like an appliance. A toaster is only valuable if it toasts bread. If a toaster sits on the counter and does nothing, it is broken. It is garbage. You treat yourself like the toaster. You think, if I am not producing, if I am not serving, if I am not fixing, then I am nothing. This is the great lie that brings women to my office in tears of exhaustion. They look at me and say, I feel empty. And I tell them, you feel empty because you have confused your fuel with your output. You think you exist to output, but you are not an appliance. You are a garden. A garden does not bloom all year. A garden has seasons of dormancy, seasons of quiet. Under the soil, in the dark, there is massive activity happening. Roots are deepening. Nutrients are being gathered. But to the eye, it looks like nothing is happening. If you force a garden to bloom in winter, you kill it. The jailer does not understand seasons. He only understands production. And because you are listening to him, you are terrified of your own winter. You are terrified of the stillness, because in the stillness, you have to face the shadow. And what is in the shadow of the doer? Jung would say that the shadow of the doer is the lazy one. You have spent your whole life running from this character. You look at people who rest easily and you judge them. You think they are slacking off. You think they are selfish. But Jung teaches us that what we judge in others is actually a disowned part of ourselves. You judge the lazy person because you are starving for their freedom. You are jealous of their ability to just be. Your shadow is holding the medicine you need. The medicine is not laziness. The medicine is being. Simply being. Without an agenda, without a goal, without a product to show for it at the end of the hour. But the jailer screams, if you just sit there, you are wasting time, and time is money. I want you to try a mental experiment with me right now. I want you to close your eyes for a second. Imagine that jailer. Imagine him with his stopwatch and his anxiety. See him clearly. Now, instead of fighting him, instead of obeying him, I want you to talk to him. I want you to say, thank you. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. Thank you for trying to make sure I am worthy of love. But the war is over. I am an adult now, and I know that I am worthy simply because I exist. I am taking the stopwatch away from you. You are off duty. When you separate yourself from the voice of guilt, when you realize that the guilt is just a character in your head and not the absolute truth, you create space. In that space, you can begin to heal the worthiness wound. You can begin to understand that rest is not a moral failing. It is a biological imperative. It is a spiritual necessity. Think about the heart, your physical heart. It beats, and then it rests. It beats, and then it rests. If your heart did not rest between beats, you would die of cardiac arrest. The rest is what makes the beat possible. You are trying to live a life of only beats, no pauses, no silence, and your soul is going into cardiac arrest. The guilt you feel when you rest is the friction of changing gears. It is the sound of the old programming fighting against the new truth. It is uncomfortable, yes, but it is not dangerous. You can sit on the sofa, you can feel the wave of guilt wash over you, and you can choose not to move. You can say to yourself, I feel guilty, and I am resting anyway. I am doing this for my future self. I am doing this because I am a human being, not a human doing. When you reclaim your worthiness, you take the power back from the jailer. You realize that you do not have to earn your rest. You do not have to pay for your space on this earth. You were born worthy. You were born enough. And nothing you do or do not do can ever change that. This shift in perspective is the key. But how do we translate this into your daily life? How do we convince your nervous system that it is safe to power down? We need to understand the mechanics of energy. We need to look at the laws of physics that govern your body. We need to move from the emotional to the practical. In the next section, I am going to give you a new equation, a law of energy balance, that will help you silence the jailer once and for all. We are going to learn why rest is not the opposite of work. It is the fuel for work. Now we arrive at the practical application. We are going to fight the guilt with logic. We are going to fight it with the laws of physics. For decades, you have been operating under a false equation. You believed that output equals worth. But your body operates on a different equation. It is the law of energy balance. Input must equal output. Think about your car. You would never expect your car to drive from New York to California without stopping for gas. You would not call the car lazy for needing fuel. You would not scream at the car for having an empty tank. You understand that the car is a machine, and machines require input to create output. Fuel is not a reward for driving. Fuel is the prerequisite for driving. You can't fill the tank only after you have arrived. You have to fill it to get there. Yet, this is exactly how you treat yourself. You tell yourself, I will rest when the list is done. I will rest when the house is clean. I will rest when everyone else is happy. But the list is never done. And so you never rest. You are trying to drive to California on an empty tank. And you are wondering why you are breaking down on the side of the road. Rest is not the prize at the finish line. Rest is the fuel in the tank. If you want to be a good mother, if you want to be excellent at your job, if you want to be a present partner, you must prioritize the input. This is not selfishness. This is maintenance. This is responsible stewardship of the only body you will ever have. So, how do we practice this maintenance? How do we rest in a way that actually refuels us? We have to learn a new skill. It is a skill that the Dutch have mastered. They call it Niksen. Niksen translates literally to doing nothing. It does not mean meditating. It does not mean reading a book. It does not mean watching a documentary. Those are activities. They require focus. Niksen means gazing out the window. It means watching the clouds move. It means sitting on your porch and listening to the birds. It is the art of allowing your brain to idle. In our culture, we are terrified of Niksen. We think that if we are not processing information, we are wasting time. But neuroscience tells us something fascinating. When you practice Niksen, when you do nothing, your brain enters what is called the default mode network. This is the state where your brain sorts through memories, where it connects dots, where it processes emotions. It is in this state of doing nothing that your best ideas arrive. It is in this state that your intuition speaks to you. You have been blocking your own wisdom by keeping your brain too busy to speak to you. You have been drowning out your soul with noise. So I want to give you a challenge. I call it radical rest. It is radical because it goes against everything society tells you. Here is the practice. I want you to carve out 10 minutes a day. Just 10 minutes. Set a timer if you have to. Find a chair by a window or sit on your back steps and do absolutely nothing. But here's the most important rule. No phones. This is critical. Many women think they are resting when they are scrolling through social media. You sit on the couch, you open your phone, and you zone out for an hour. But when you stand up, do you feel refreshed? Or do you feel drained? Do you feel clear? Or do you feel foggy and anxious? Scrolling is not resting. Scrolling is numbing. There is a huge difference. Resting restores your energy. Numbing suppresses your energy. When you scroll, your brain is still processing thousands of images, comparing your life to others, reacting to bad news. It is high-speed input. It is the opposite of Niksen. The jailer in your head loves it when you scroll, because even though you are sitting down, you are still consuming. You are still busy. Real rest requires you to unplug. It requires you to be alone with your own thoughts. And this is why it is scary. When you first practice radical rest, when you sit there without your phone, the jailer will scream. He will list all the things you should be doing. He will tell you that you are boring. He will tell you that you are wasting your life. I want you to let him scream. Do not argue with him. Just observe him. Say to yourself, I hear the guilt, and I am choosing to sit here anyway. Focus on your senses. Feel the weight of your body in the chair. Look at the way the light hits the floor. Listen to the hum of the refrigerator.
Be here now. When you do this, you are retraining your nervous system. You are teaching your body that it is safe to stop. You are teaching your brain that the world will not end if you take a break. You are breaking the addiction to cortisol. Slowly, over time, the 10 minutes will become 20. The guilt will become quieter, and you will start to crave the silence. You will realize that the silence is not empty, it is full. It is full of you. You remember who you were before you became a machine. This practice of Niksen, of doing nothing, is the gateway to the second half of your life. Carl Jung believed that the second half of life is for looking inward, for integration. You can't look inward if you are constantly looking at a screen or a to-do list. You need the stillness. It is the water for your spiritual roots. I know that your life is full. I know you have obligations. I am not asking you to abandon your responsibilities. I am asking you to include yourself in the circle of care. If you saw your daughter working herself to exhaustion, if you saw her denying herself rest, what would you tell her? Would you tell her she is lazy? Or would you tell her to sit down? Would you make her a cup of tea? Would you cover her with a blanket? Why is your daughter worthy of that care, but you are not? You are also a daughter. You are a daughter of life, and you deserve to be held, even if the only one holding you is you. As you begin to practice this, you might notice something surprising. When you are well rested, you are actually more productive, not in the frantic, manic way of the past, but in a grounded, focused way. You make better decisions. You have more patience. You have more creativity. The law of energy balance holds true. When you increase the input, the quality of the output improves. But remember, greater productivity is not the goal. It is just a side effect. The goal is you. The goal is reclaiming your humanity. The goal is looking at the jailer and taking the keys. You have the keys in your hand right now.
Unlock the door. Step out of the cell and sit down. Just sit and breathe. And know that in this moment of doing nothing, you are doing the most important thing of all. You are coming home. You have been running a marathon for 30 years. You have been running it without water. You have been running it without stopping. And you have been criticizing yourself for getting tired. I want you to feel the weight of that truth, and I want you to let it go. What we have talked about today is not just about taking a nap. It is about a fundamental shift in how you view your own existence. It is about moving from a transactional life, where you buy your worth with your labor, to an inherent life, where your worth is given simply because you are here. I know that the inner jailer will not disappear overnight. He has been on duty for a long time. Tomorrow, when you sit down with your cup of tea, he will likely pop up again.
he will point to the laundry. He will point to the email inbox. He will try to make you feel small. But now, you have a new equation. Input equals output. You can look at that jailer and say, I am not being lazy. I am refueling. I am engaging in necessary maintenance. I am protecting the asset. And the asset is me. When you choose to rest without guilt, you are doing something revolutionary. You are rejecting the culture of burnout. You are rejecting the idea that a woman is only valuable when she is serving others. You are claiming your body and your time as your own. Think about the example you are setting if you have children, if you have younger colleagues. They are watching you. If they see you working until you collapse, they learn that this is what adulthood looks like. But if they see you stopping, if they see you sitting in the sun doing nothing, if they see you honoring your limits, they learn that it is safe for them to rest too. You are breaking a generational cycle of exhaustion. And that is the most productive thing you can possibly do. I want to invite you to make this official today. I want you to sign your own permission slip. Please scroll down to the comments section right now, and I want you to write this simple declaration. I give myself permission to stop. Just those 6 words. I give myself permission to stop. When you type that, you are sending a signal to your nervous system. You are telling your brain that the war is over. You are stepping out of the race. Read the comments from the other women. See how many of us are also choosing to stop today. See the army of women who are laying down their weapons of busyness. You are in good company. We are resting together. However, I need to prepare you for a trap that often appears right after we decide to rest. Once you decide to prioritize yourself, you will hear a lot of advice about self-care. People will tell you to do yoga, to meditate for an hour, to journal, to drink green juice. And suddenly, taking care of yourself starts to feel like another to-do list. It starts to feel like another job you are failing at. Or you aren't relaxing correctly. Or you aren't relaxing enough. This is when the cure becomes part of the disease. If you have ever felt overwhelmed by the pressure to be healthy, if your wellness routine feels like another chore, please watch my next video. When self-care feels like another chore, a real talk for worn-out women. In that video, we are going to dismantle the industry of wellness. We are going to look at why adding more tasks to your list, even healthy tasks, can backfire. And I will show you how to practice self-care that actually cares for the self, instead of just polishing the persona. It is the essential next step to ensure that your rest remains restful and doesn't become another performance. If this video gave you a moment of peace today, if it helped you lower your shoulders away from your ears, please subscribe to this channel. Think of this space as your personal rest stop, a place where the demands of the world cannot reach you. By subscribing, you are building a boundary around your peace. You are saying that your sanity matters. Click the like button, not because you have to, but as a quiet nod to yourself, a way of saying, I am done running. And share this video with a friend. the one who is always busy, the one who replies to your texts at midnight. Send it to her and say, "You have permission to sit down." She might need to hear it just as much as you do. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for listening to your body. And thank you for daring to do nothing. You are a human being, not a human doing. You are enough, just as you are, right here, right now. Rest well, and I will see you in the next video.